Hello, Rocco Kitty. Welcome in. Welcome in. Good evening. Good morning. Hello, hello, everybody. Hope you had a wonderful weekend here currently in the U.S. This is technically still a holiday, so I'm going to enjoy with a nice little beverage here. And if you're celebrating as well, go right ahead. Yeah, exactly. I thought about it, and then I was also like, I didn't work today because we have work off on today, so I might as well. Otherwise, I'm stuck doing it after a work day, and then I'm just tired, and it's less, interesting because I'm not paying attention as much because my brain is tired. So I'd rather do it on a day where, number one, I don't have commute, and number two, I don't work. So that is perfect. I thought about it, but, it was just one of those things. I was like, I'm going to be way more fresh today than I would be tomorrow. So let's do it today. And holidays be darned. I hope everyone had a wonderful weekend if you're outside the U.S. Standard weekend, probably. But I hope you had fun. Hope you got out there. We're really quickly marching past summer. We're now in September, folks. How fast is this year moving? It seemed like it was crawling by in the beginning of the year, and now it's just flying by. But then again, I'm okay with it because we're getting to the really interesting holiday part of the year. As far as I'm concerned, September 1st, might as well throw up the bats, throw up the ghosts. It's Halloween, baby. But yeah, it was a very interesting weekend. I went and saw Alien Romulus in the theater. A good popcorn movie is basically the big takeaway from there. I've seen the first Alien movie with Sigourney Weaver, of course. It's a classic. I've seen Alien vs. Predator, maybe the second one. I'm not exactly sure how many of those they did. And then there's a bunch. Like, there's an Aliens, the first sequel, I guess you could call it. And then I think there's an Aliens 3 or something. Like, there's a lot of different Aliens. But I don't think I've seen a lot of them, honestly. So this is very much like, all right, hopefully I don't have to know too much of the lore to be able to get into this thing. And thankfully, you don't. There's literally no recollection of the lore as far as I could tell. I mean, obviously it's going to help you if you've seen the first one to kind of understand what the heck's going on with the aliens and the chest bursters and the face huggers or whatever the heck those things are. But it was interesting. It was very interesting. Lots of impact for the second half. First half was a little boring. It was weird because it was like trying to set up the characters, but it didn't do it very well. So you didn't really care about the characters. Like the main person I had no attachment to that person at all at the end, which is when you're supposed to really, pull for the main person. You're supposed to really care, You want them to survive and find a way out of it. But I couldn't figure out what they wanted me to be attached to. Like, it was very odd. Like, I felt closer to the synthetic human than I did the actual human, which is, I don't know, maybe that says something about me. Maybe it says something about the movie. I'm not exactly sure. But lots of cool moments in there. I'll try not to do any spoilers, but gosh, there's this one scene where gravity comes into play. I'll just talk about it in general. There's one scene where gravity comes into play and anti-gravity, and I think it was really well done. It was very cool and interesting. Yeah, they didn't do a good job of setting up the characters. The aliens were cool, of course. I mean, aliens are always awesome. The ending was so bizarre, so bizarre, that it took me out of it, how bizarre it was. I don't know. That's not a good thing. Like, if the whole movie's bizarre, then you're just in it. You're enjoying it, the bizarre. But the ending got really weird. Really, really strange. It's almost like there was 2 movies attached. So you had like the first part, which is like aliens and standard kind of stuff. And then you had the second part of the movie, basically the last 15, 20 minutes that just got so weird. I was just like, what is happening? This is kind of taking a turn for, I don't know what this is. This is like Slender Man stuff or something. Like, I don't know. It was very odd choices there from the director. But I will say this. It was entertaining. It had its jump scares, which is classic in the Aliens movies. It got me so many freaking times. It's always embarrassing, too. Always embarrassing. Thankfully, it's dark. But yeah, I jumped at least 5 times in that movie. Maybe 6. I jumped within the first, 2 seconds of that film. Oh, gosh. I'm not very good with jump scares. I get sucked into it, and I know it's coming, but I don't think it through. I don't prepare myself for the jump scare at all. And it just gets me every time, like clockwork. When they're coming up with jump scares, I guarantee they're thinking of a person like me, and they're just like, that'll get him, that'll get him, that'll get him, that'll get him. How's it going, Jace? Welcome in. Just talking about Alien Romulus, which I saw over the weekend. Super interesting. Is it something that I would rush right out and see? I'll say this. I think those movies benefit from being in a theater, larger screen, bigger sound effects. Usually when it involves jump scares and scariness, it's just better in a theater because it's loud. It's really loud, and that bass is booming. So maybe it's a little better in the theater. Do I think it's a theater-style movie and not a streaming movie? No. I think it would be just fine waiting for it to come out on streaming. But I guess for the experience itself, theaters is where it's at. But yeah, end of the day, nothing wow in that movie. Wasn't expecting it really, but so I guess it lived up to the expectations. It wasn't wow, but it was interesting. I startle really easily. Those kinds of movies always get, oh my gosh. Well, you sound like me, and you would definitely be jumping throughout that entire movie. There was quite a few doozies that really got me, really shook me. Oh my gosh. My girlfriend had been watching the Prometheus one recently. Oh, okay. Criticizing the science. Yeah. Oh gosh. A lot of the sci-fi movies, the science is bad. It's more fi than sci, I would say. But, if you go into it just expecting something somewhat entertaining, nothing too crazy, don't put a lot of thought into it, you're going to be happy, I think. The only thing I really wish they did was work better on introducing the characters. If you're going to spend 30 minutes of the movie with no aliens, how about we get attached to the people going into the situation? Like, we need to see prior family life. We need to see, a little bit of their interaction, maybe a sob story, something to connect them to us. Anything. Because by the end of that movie, I was just like, I really don't care who dies. And I don't think it's just me. It was very underwhelming in the character department. Like, the main character was just a nothing burger. Just an absolute nothing burger. And I'm like, wow, how did they do that? They literally spent 30, 45 minutes with no aliens, and we don't care about any of these people. Like, it was unbelievable. Yeah, it was definitely flawed. Definitely flawed. Yeah, yikes. But you know what's not flawed? These videos we're going to react to today. We have 5 amazing videos. 911, Interview with the Vampire, Dead Friend Forever, 911 again, and then we're going to end the stream, this Monday stream with Ted Lasso, It is a comedy video, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, should be amazing. If you would like to request your own videos, how about I switch to the right screen? There we go. It's a Monday, ladies and gentlemen. You can do so, toddreacts.com, season and series tiers. If you're on Twitch, just a heads up, I am redoing the About section on the profile, so it might look a little weird. Just kind of looking at it, trying to figure out what to do with it, honestly. Trying to make it a little nicer. So if you're looking at it right now and you're going, something's different. Yeah, it's different. I'm working on it. But if you'd like to request your own videos and you have some in mind, head on over to toddreacts.com. Sign up for the season or series tiers. While you're there, go ahead and check out the summer collection of merch available right now. As you can see, it's all listed here. Tons of different colors, amazing amounts of sizes, as you can see. I'll just pull up the crop tee just for an example. We got extra small to extra large. And if you're like, well, what the heck are those sizes? You can actually bring up a size guide, and it'll give you inches and centimeters. So if you're wondering, you know, what are these sizes and what does it mean? You can always pull up a size guide. It's available for every single item. Polo shirt I'm wearing literally right now goes from a small to a 5XL. So tons of sizes available. I do love that about the store. I believe it's called inclusive sizing. I'm not exactly sure. I think that's the term. But very awesome. Very awesome indeed. So, oh, amazing. I should know what's coming next, and I just never do. Go ahead and check out the YouTube channel, Todd Reacts. If you're watching live on Twitch right now and you have no idea this exists, this is actually where all the streams are held in perpetuity. And before this, they used to all the videos used to be individual videos. So if you're watching on Twitch and you have no idea what's going on, you can actually go onto the YouTube channel and there is a ton of videos. A ton of videos. You can even click oldest. Oh my gosh. Look at those thumbnails. Actually, don't look at those. You'll see all the streams in all their glory. And the timestamps are available in the YouTube video description of every single stream. On the previous ones, obviously, there is no timestamp because it's just that. But there's over 1,000 videos, folks. Over 1,000. And if you're looking for something specific, even if it's not in a playlist, which you can literally click on the playlists and check that out. If it's not listed there, come over here to the magnifying glass on the right side. Just click that and you can search for whatever you would like to search for. I don't know. Let's type in vampire. Boom. All the vampire videos. Well, everything with vampire in the title, I suppose. But yes, you can do that. Super easy. While you're there, check out the Todd Reacts Plays gaming channel. If you're big into gaming and you would like to check them out one day, I'm obviously taking a break from it right now, but I will get back to it. I will indeed, especially with Fortnite going into a new season. It seems like it's back to the old Fortnite, so I'm excited about that. But that will be happening eventually. Or if you prefer watching on Twitch, you can do so on Twitch. And don't forget, you can join the Discord, which is totally free. As you can see, it even tells you where the stream is located and that it's happening now. So that's awesome. So whenever a stream goes live, you'll be able to click on to the Twitch link, and join. As you can see, there's a ton of different channels. You can request a channel with the request a channel ... channel. Updates from me is basically just, you know, any sort of important update that comes around, whether streams can be a little late, whether I need to move a stream, etc., or it's canceled, whatever. It'll be listed there. I will try to do so on time. Can't promise anything, but I will try to do so. Fandoms, we have a ton of different fandom channels. If you see anything you like, or if you want to add something that you don't see listed there, go ahead and request it. Usually don't have any, I don't think we've had any problem adding any channel, honestly. So as long as it's, you know, PG-13, I guess you could say, no problem adding it. Lots of fun spaces with fun people in there. Heartstopper was added yesterday. Indeed it was. And then we have a ton of fun things like pet pictures and memes, gaming updates, food pictures, always amazing. Rant rave, if you just want to go off on something, have fun. It's better to let things out than keep them in. And the Paralympics is currently going on, so if you would like to talk about it, go ahead and do so. Lots of interesting stuff. It's totally free to join. Amazing, amazing people. 132 members, according to Jace here, as a live number. Amazing. It's growing. Lots of great people in there. Come hang out. You know, put in your 2 cents or whatever to the conversation. I think you'll really enjoy it. I honestly think you will. It's been a wonderful place and a wonderful experience to be able to interact with everybody. It has definitely been a wonderful addition to this, I don't know what to call this, this Todd Reacts thing, space. But let's go ahead and jump into the first video of the day. Community, yes, Rocco Kitty. That's a great way to put it. The Todd Reacts community. We come from many stripes, and we like lots of different things. It's super cool. I hope you join the Discord. All right, let's bring up me for a second, and then switch over. We're gonna start with "They See Right Through Me." This is a Buck video from 911. Let's go ahead and jump in. Hopefully the sound isn't too loud for us.
He doesn't think things through. He doesn't think things through.
I have no idea why it restarted.
Act, react, and that leaves the rest of us to have to deal with the fall.
You really think they're gonna welcome you back, kid?
Because you're exhausting.
I'm not sure I can survive your help anymore.
We all have our own problems, but you don't see us whining about it.
Whatever it takes for you to forgive me.
I forgive you.
Easy they come, easy they go. I jump from the train, I ride.
You're indestructible, but you're not.
You act like you're expendable.
Help me hold on to you. I've been the archer.
You failed him.
Who could ever leave me, darling?
Almost gave up.
But who could stay?
Being a firefighter
Oh, Buck,
is
indeed.
my life.
A search for your dark side.
It is the only thing I have ever done that was important and that mattered, okay?
Welcome to the 118, Buck.
Thank you. I made myself a target because I wasn't gonna let any of you guys take that risk.
Fuck, what happened to Eddie was not your fault.
No, I was just the guy standing there when it happened. Couldn't do anything to protect him.
Gosh, that is brutal.
Okay, Buck, all right. It's gonna be okay. Is it?
You are not red. You are never gonna be left behind.
I want you to think that you weren't wanted, that you weren't loved.
I wasn't.
Yes, you were by her.
Promise.
Promise?
Lots of inner turmoil for sure. Obviously, a lot of it stemming from his parents.
I have walked through fire every single day of my life because of you.
Yeah,
You have no way.
You actually died.
I don't know what you expected us to do.
Buck's story is a very perseverance story. Very heavy in that. Finding a way.
You made it too, Buck.
Yes, I am free.
Oh, that's lovely. Link down below in the YouTube description for the original video. Go throw it some much deserved love. Yeah, it is difficult. Number one, it's a difficult position to be in because you're putting yourself on the line, literally your life. Trying to protect others as well that are not only on your team, but just the general public that happen to be in that distress. But you're also, you're human. You're also dealing with your own issues and, how you grew up and how that affects you and what your current life is like, etc., or lack of a life even. It's not surprising that, it's a very good arc. I will say that. It's a very good arc. Starts rocky. Obviously, he had a rough upbringing, I think is a way to say it. But he found sort of a home in the 118. I guess you could call it that. Very much, people willing to look after him and offer life lessons. Certainly Bobby comes to mind with his interactions with Buck. Very father figure, if you will. But, also finding himself. Obviously, that's a more recent kind of story. But, yeah, it's just very interesting. A good arc where I wasn't exactly sure where it was going to go, honestly. When I watched the first couple episodes, I was just like, So it's basically... Because they started by introducing him as just a womanizer who literally just... I don't know. Just kind of couldn't fit in. Didn't seem like he was, going to be around very long. Very odd, but obviously found his place. Found his place, which is honestly what we all want. Find a place in this world and also find people around you that, are worth sticking around for and support you and all that good stuff. I like that he seems like the typical meathead using people, but flipped it so completely. Yeah, exactly. They introduced him, for lack of a better term, as a POS, basically. A user, if you will. So your first introduction to Buck is like, ooh, I don't know about this guy. And then you just kind of find your way, He finds his way, and then you find your way to... Oh, yeah, he's a good guy. He's just kind of lost a little bit, and, he's finding his way. So it was a very interesting turn of events. I never expected to adore the character the way I do. Yeah, that's a good point. That is a great way to put it. It, just to see from the first couple episodes I reacted to, some of the more recent edits, is just an unbelievable shift to the point where you're just like, whoa, what? Very different character. I mean, obviously there's a lot of general qualities there, but huge strides in personal interactions and personality and all that kind of stuff. Buck was a womanizer and had several girlfriends over the series, going through periods of promiscuity and serious monogamy. He admits that he checks out attractive men's bodies, but didn't think too much of it. After realizing he may not be straight after kissing Tommy, Buck becomes flustered as this is unfamiliar territory to him and tries to hide it initially. He assuages, ooh, fancy word, he assuages his discomfort by asserting that he is an ally. Good God. We need to bury that clip Absolutely bury that clip. That needs to be erased from the internet. That is one of the strangest, most cringe-inducing, awkward moments. Oh, God. I can't even read it without getting cringe. When the topic of sexuality is brought up by both Tommy and Maddie, while Maddie points out he is more than an ally now, while he has not claimed to an identity for himself, Oliver Stark asserts that Buck is bi. While he's very knowledgeable and observant as needed for his line of work, he lacks the wisdom and maturity of his peers. His impulsivity is not limited to physical actions, as he is most likely to make inappropriate statements or share random facts without reading the room. He also has a habit of letting pride or authority go to his head, to the point that some of his coworkers know to, quote, never give Buck a clipboard. He talks about himself like he's getting upgraded, going from Buck 1.0 to 2.0 after major milestones in his life. Some of that's kind of funny, you know? Some of that's funny and good-natured in some ways. But, yeah. Not being able to read the room is a tough one. That is a tough one. And to also know to never give a Buck a clipboard, oof. Oof. That just means he'll probably never be promoted past a certain point, which is not good. That's not what you want in the early part of your career, for that to be your reputation. In the earlier kind of episodes, I did enjoy Bobby's interaction with him the best. It very much reminded me of kind of like a troubled youth having like this father figure or whatever. Which is interesting because Bobby himself was broken. And he was trying to fix or mend Buck without really addressing his own stuff. It was kind of interesting. Honestly, it was one of the most interesting interactions, I guess you could say. As far as I'm concerned, one of the most interesting interactions. I don't know if that continues on past the first couple episodes, but honestly, that's where my main focus was on the first couple. I was just like, dang, I like this. I like the broken trying to fix the broken. And, you know, really offering some pretty excellent advice and, you know, that kind of stuff. So you could see a lot of Bobby's good qualities shining through. That was like a list of why Buck is likely ADHD. Yeah. The impulsivity and all that good stuff. Amazing. Truly an interesting character. Surprising from where it started. I think we're right on that. Very surprising character to enjoy. Very, very surprising. I have spent my entire life feeling like a constant disappointment. You think my job is dangerous. I have walked through fire every single day of my life because of you. Oh, was he talking to his parents about this? That is why I'm in therapy, because nothing I ever did was good enough. You never made it easy on us, either one of you. We were supposed to. We were kids. Yeah, that's a damn good point. That's such a great comeback there. Oof, gosh, that is so brutal. Evan, I don't know what you expected us to do. Love me anyway. Obviously, a little different feeling than Meredith Grey saying, love me, need me, or whatever that quote is. I forget the full quote. Wow, that is powerful. This scene is probably unbelievable. You can actually, like, look at that emotion on Oliver's face. Isn't that unbelievable? I think we've all kind of had one of those moments before where you're just like, you see things so clearly, but you're also just like, ah. Pick me, yes. Oh my gosh, pick me. Obviously a little different. I'm joking, of course. But yeah, it just reminded me of that. Bobby's stepdaughter in season 6 says, Mom brought 2 kids to the marriage. You brought 1, meaning Buck. Oh my gosh. That's amazing. 911's Oliver Stark reacts to Buck's tragic origin story, including how he can finally start to move past it. 911 finally gave Buck a formal origin story on Monday, and it was even darker than we could have imagined, still reeling from the discovery that he and Maddie had an older brother who died of cancer. Buck also learned this week that he was only conceived in the hopes that he would be a bone marrow match for Daniel. What? The Buckwheat's twisted and way too common plan worked for a short time. Way too common? What? That's common? Oh my God. People do this? His brother's keeper. Wow. I did not know that was a thing. That is news to me. I mean, I guess it makes sense, but it's such a weird thing to do. Until Daniel eventually relapsed and died. Oof. At which point the family moved away and never spoke of the tragedy again. A series of flashbacks to Buck and Maddie's child and young adulthood expanded upon their tight-knit relationship, including how Maddie almost told Buck and Daniel about Daniel when she first left home to attend nursing school in Boston with Doug. Ugh, Doug. We also saw that the siblings almost ran away together years ago, but an abusive Doug made it clear that he would do what he would do to Maddie if she left again. Again, ugh, Doug. She did, however, gift Buck her beloved Jeep so that he could leave town and start over, a gift that eventually took him to LA. Have children to get marrow or stem cells if an older child gets cancer. That's wild. That is wild. They didn't want our kid. They wanted him for spare parts. Oh my gosh. I didn't even know that was a thing. That's wild to me. Like, that has never been a thought that's crossed my mind. Holy crap. I mean, I guess it makes sense logically, but what? I thought people just wanted to have multiple kids just to have multiple kids. You know, the whole replacement theory thing or whatever it's called, where you got 2 people and then you have 2 more or at least 3, and then, you know, there's more people on the planet or we sustain the amount of population. That's so strange. So strange. Oh my gosh. It's more common as science and medicine evolves. I'll be damned. I did not know. Wow. Learned something new here today, folks. Albeit a little gruesome, I guess. But it's why Buck never felt loved. They were grieving Daniel and never really loved him. Oof. Yeah, that is, that's brutal. What's weird is you would think they would cling to Buck more because they're devastated with losing Daniel, but they still got 1 left, so that, you know, you would think they'd become like super helicopter parents, you know, kid in a bubble kind of stuff. But I guess not. They went the other way. Maddie loved him, as Chim said in the video. They didn't want to love him because they couldn't bear it if they lost him. Oh, gosh. They really went the other way on that. Below, Oliver Stark breaks down 911's long-awaited Buck Begins episode. I was starting to wonder if Buck would ever get a Begins episode. He was so young when we met him. I didn't know if he'd have enough of a backstory. Laughs. I agree, right? Buck had just started at the firehouse in the pilot, and we were sort of figuring out through his eyes. So I didn't know if a Buck origin story would be necessary. But then showrunner Tim was like, I've got this idea for it. understand why it was needed. It immediately made so much of what we know about Buck make sense. Yeah, that is a good point. Especially if you have multiple episodes and seasons, it makes sense to do origin stories on, multiple characters, not just, some of the mains. Although I would call Buck a main. He only cared when he got hurt, so he learned that getting hurt is how you earn love. Oh my gosh. Ooh, I get it. Get hurt for attention. Oy. What was your reaction? Well, firefighter kind of makes sense. What was your reaction when you first saw it all unfold in the script? More than anything, actually, I was impressed that the writers were able to come up with something that encapsulated so much of that we've seen of Buck over the years. The more I thought about his past behavior, the more I was like, oh, now it makes sense why he was always doing these things and why he's got this hero complex. Thought it was brilliant. I also didn't know that some families really do have babies for this reason. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Oh my gosh. Yes, I had to Google it to see if it was true, and they really do. The way Tim put it to me was they basically have a baby for parts. That is unbelievable. So I guess it wasn't just me that had to learn that just now. Before the truth came out, the fans had some wild theories about Buck's family secret, including that Maddie was actually his mom. Whoa. I did see a couple people absolutely nail what it was, at which point I wondered, who's in the writer's room has a secret Twitter account? How is this experience going to affect Buck moving forward? It's important to know what it is that's holding you back. So the fact that you can start to understand why his relationship with his parents has always been so fraught and why he's always felt this lack of belonging, you can finally start to move past it and heal and mend those relationships and reestablish these connections. As shattering as it was to learn the news, it's only going to be good for him. We'll see a new, more accomplished Buck because of it. And I think that is absolutely correct. Obviously, from what we've seen. Oh my God, could you imagine Maddie as his mom? You're right. Oh gosh, what a twist. Why Eddie tells him you think you're expendable, but you're not. And why it's so important to him that Buck knows he's vital. Right. We'll have plenty to talk about in his next therapy session. Let's see here. All right. Let's head on to the next one here. Or Jennifer Love Hewitt was like, how old do you think I am? Oh my God. Yeah. That's a good point. That is a very good point, actually. She's been in a lot of good things. I will say that about her career. Next on the list is Louie and Lestat. Good luck, babe. It is from Interview with a Vampire. I'm sure you're familiar with it by now if you've been watching the streams. It's been in a lot. But if you're new here, get used to it. Let's go ahead and hop in.
Beneath his flimsy gentleman's veneer.
I don't know why it's restarting.
His flimsy gentleman's veneer. Lestat was trivial, vapid, vulgar.
Because I do believe I felt some trepidation when the name Lestat was uttered.
Who?
No one is much. You are the only being I trust.
With their arms out like an angel through the gosh unreal. I don't wanna call it off, but you don't wanna call it love. You only wanna be the one that
How annoying would that be if you were talking to somebody and you were trying to walk away and they just appeared in front of you again? It's like, hey. The heck?
Sorry. I talked shit about him the whole time.
It's not a companionship. What is it?
It's whatever you want to call it.
An affair? A romance?
It works for me.
The veil will not forever separate us, but it is a thin veil, and I'm always on your side. Face pressed up against your arm. Kill me again. Come on, kill me again. Show me. The only way you know how to win.
128 boys he's brought here.
I could be your star, but better.
Louise, try on your fuck off and find me with apologies to follow.
I'm sorry.
Are you companions?
Yes.
No.
I'm not a star.
Okay. Even though I'm still the only one you trust.
I could feel the movement there with his movement. His breath on the back of my neck.
Did I catch you in a fantasy? When a star strolls past a bookstore, reads your nasty embellishments and comes chasing after you again.
You will regret this for the rest of your life.
He didn't tell me.
Why didn't you say? I don't like to point out my virtues.
He and I are going to spend the rest of our lives together.
I knew you'd figure it out. Let's see how long you hold.
Was it raining, Louis?
She couldn't burn it.
I said no!
Oh, you're going very quick. Very quick. Somebody is real.
In here! You carry him in here!
Right.
You share a heart with him.
I could cut it off.
One thing that was mentioned in the comments quite a lot is that Louis is a unreliable narrator when he's being interviewed. And that makes so much sense as to the telling of this.
No, Louis. You can't.
Because most of the time as I'm watching this, the stat looks totally evil. Just completely evil. Link down below in the YouTube description for the original video. Go throw it some much deserved love. Yeah, it's very interesting how you can probably see season 3 is the start of a stat story. It's going to be interesting to see the difference for sure. Maybe it won't be too different to the point where, it's just abundantly obvious Louis was withholding a lot or just misremembering. Or maybe it will. Or maybe we find out just how much of a I don't know, like an egomaniac with Stat is, and just kind of how controlling he can be as he tries to repaint history or paint it in his favor or whatever. It should be interesting, honestly. I included a book scene excerpt where they argue over the books. How the showrunner of AMC's Interview with the Vampire found his Louis and Lestat. There have been a gazillion complicated vampire love stories, but in the modern age, Anne Rice's pairing of Lestat and the humans he turns, Louis, is the ship upon which all others are compared. Both were introduced in Rice's 1976 bestseller, Interview with the Vampire, and she continued to chart their tempestuous love-hate affair over 40 years within the 13 novels she wrote for the Vampire Chronicles. That is an unbelievable amount of production over 40 years. That is truly unbelievable. That is an author who cares about the craft and her audience. Maybe George R.R. Martin could take a page out of her book. Shots fired. So translating them from Rice's pages to screen is no small thing when it comes to wanting to please both the existing fan base and sell those who have not read the books the importance of their immortal connection. Back in 94, director Neil Jordan brought Interview with the Vampire to life for the big screen and casting megastars Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt. And that's not including the crossover books with the Mayfair Witches. That's unbelievable. Good grief. For the new AMC series adaptation, the weight of perfect casting fell on showrunner, executive producer Roland Jones. After wide-scale casting searches, he picked Britt Jacob Anderson for New Orleans-born Louis and Australian Sam Reed as a centuries-old Lestat. Do lots of layers of the auditioning and screen testing each actor had to do. Anderson, who was coming off multiple seasons playing Grey Worm on, speaking of Game of Thrones, still had to go up against a zillion other actors with callbacks and finally chemistry tests with actors in the running for Lestat. You really go through a gauntlet for it, but what we were constantly seeing was that there was these built-in things about Jacob. You liked him, and there was his depth of feeling and humanity. He also had a facility for language that was going to be really, really helpful. Both he and Sam speak this heightened prose and dialogue as if they're just talking. Not everybody has the ability to do that. A lot of actors have to act in between the lines. They could do it on top of the lines, which is just something that was going to be easy for the kind of writing I was doing here. Jones has equal praise for Reed, joking that he initially recoiled from the Aussie's headshot and tape because he was so perfect looking. I would be lying if I didn't say right from the first audition that Sam was the front runner right from the beginning. That's not surprising at all. That is not surprising. Oh my gosh. That must have been what Marvel saw when they saw Chris Hemsworth for Thor. They're like, okay, all right, I think we got it. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Anytime that guy walks into any room, immediately heads are going to turn. He sounded like a guy who has traveled the world and has picked up things along the way to create what is only a Lestat accent. Ironically, Reed told Jones that he was worried that he'd blown the audition by making it too campy. Jones disagrees. The first audition scene was the meet cute scene at the bar, and then it was the climactic church scene. And he effing went for the church scene. I think everybody was like, oh my God, that's too much. And of course, it looks like too much because he's sitting there behind a blue screen in his apartment. But I knew how big and operatic I wanted this to be. And if he could do that, I was like, that's what you need. I just knew he's just this gigantic range. I got very, very excited about that. That's awesome. That's not surprising. Interview with the Vampire changed the game with Season 1's most shocking scene. Season 1 of the series recently debuting on Netflix, obviously is, oh, it's 2 days ago. Oh, it debuted on Netflix. Oh, gotcha. New Season 3 footage giving fans a glimpse at Sam Reed's Rockstar Lestat. Oh, gosh. If it's on Netflix now, this might actually really help it with ratings. Being introduced to a much larger audience. Roland Jones' latest take on author Anne Rice's novel offers audiences everything they could want from a vampire story and more. Let's get past the bio stuff. Giving fans a glimpse of the real Lestat while also offering a unique take on vampiric tropes that can trace its origins back to one of the most important scenes of Season 1. Transformation scene. Rather than drawing audiences into a slow burn romance that relies too heavily on lavish set design and ominous foreshadowing, Jones's adaptation doesn't waste time pretending like the devil's not in its title, refusing to ignore the familiar plot points already put on screen in Brad Pitt's previous movie. The series reveals Lestat's vampiric nature by the end of its first episode. After the death of his beloved brother, Paul, Anderson's Louis blames himself and seeks penance by confessing at his local church. His repentance is soon interrupted, however, by Lestat desecrating the parish and subsequently seducing Louis into living as a vampire. This early scene is shocking for a few reasons. First, while fans' prior knowledge of the story and Lestat's murder of a lamplighter earlier in the episode makes it clear that the Frenchman is a vampire, Lestat's bloody rampage in the church is the first time Jones' series establishes its bloody, unforgiving tone. Watching Lestat put his fist through the back of a clergyman's skull, wow, yeah, that was that was shocking. Almost makes Interview with the Vampire feel like an episode of The Boys, and the contrast between Lestat's well-mannered, suave exterior at the Fairplay Saloon and his blood-soaked, fanged hunger in the church is utterly unsettling to behold. Yeah, that was shocking, for sure. Church scene is the climax of the first episode. So needed. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that first episode was unbelievable. They really said, all right, we're going out with a bang. Like, it was from Louis' brother's situation to that. I mean, it is attention grabbing, to say the least. Subverts stereotypes by making Louis' transformation empowering. Rather than depicting Lestat's seduction of Louis purely in predatory terms, Interview with the Vampire doubles down on its exploration of sexuality by turning Louis' transformation into a moment of queer becoming. While Louis himself describes Lestat as a predator in his discussions with Moyer, and the series does address the power imbalance between the pair, Season 1's transformation scene doesn't depict a traditional loss of humanity. Therefore, gives him a second chance to live honestly, establishing how the empowering allure of immortality can result in some of the most heartbreaking relationships in Interview with the Vampire. Seduction is never just about lust in Interview with the Vampire. Nine out of 10. That's a pretty good rating. That's a pretty good rating. 9 out of 10. I have a hard time rating things that are currently on. I think I have to watch through the entire show, because if you were, rating something season 4 and it was just fantastic, it was your favorite thing ever, and then season 5 came out and it was the worst thing you've ever seen on television, like, obviously that's going to affect your score. But I think obviously it kind of deserves it, frankly. I don't think there's anything else quite like it on television right now. It's brutal. It's got a lot of sweetness mixed in there in the brutality. And honestly, the dialogue is just, it has incredible source material, so it's not surprising the dialogue's great. But yeah, very good. Very good writing. Sam Reed and Jacob Anderson talk Louis and Lestat in Interview with the Vampire Season 2. Sam Reed had noted there was a twist in the series that wasn't from the original Interview with the Vampire source material. While he wouldn't share more about the change and whether it impacted Lestat personally, he did note that the change is actually for the people who really read the books, who really know. We have made a few little adjustments, he adds with a charmingly devious giggle. A charmingly devious giggle. In true Lestat fashion. But it all worked out in the end, so I would just stick with it. But for all you lovers of Louis and Lestat's relationship, fear not. Wherever he is, Lestat has a version of Louis inside his mind too. When asked if Lestat is currently being haunted by Phantom Louis, Reed considers and shares, I think so, yeah. We have versions of the ones we love in our minds all the time. Maybe one day soon we'll see what ghost Louis is whispering in Lestat's ear. Foreshadowing. Foreshadowing. He's breaking down outdated coven rules to embrace a life of lushness, opulence, and openness to a degree. However, Reed cautions not to take Armand's version of events as the gospel truth. He notes of bringing scenes from Vampire Lestat to life. It was told by Armand, so it's kind of adapted a little bit. So I may not necessarily believe it, but it was fun to do those scenes and go into the gear. There's something interesting there. Interesting. Okay, so The Tale of the Body Thief isn't the best book of the series, and it's way too long for its own good, but I'm so close to forgiving it just for this. Human body. Lestat, you can't become human by simply taking over human body. You weren't human when you were alive. You were born a monster, and you know it. How in the hell can you delude yourself like this? I'm going to weep if you don't stop. Weep. I'd like to see you weep. I've read a great deal about your weeping in the pages of your books, but I've never seen you weep with my own eyes. Ah, that makes you out to be a perfect liar, I said furiously. You described my weeping in your immeasurable memoir in a scene which we both know did not take place. Louis snapped and Lestat deadass pulled up receipts. Oh my gosh. A lot of fans like to complain about the books beyond Queen, but there are so many things to enjoy about the other books. No need to constantly hate on them. Also, is further evidence that Lestat is... Oh my god. He threatens to cry just to win an argument. Interesting. The rest of the post is not useful. Gotcha. That is a very interesting point. Lestat willing to weep to win an argument. Well, he's complicated, I guess we'll say. Very complicated character. Many facets. Oh my gosh. What a fascinating show. It seems that it is just, well, number one, it helps to have good source material. But number two, it seems like the people in charge of that show actually give a damn about it, which is so much of what makes a show good, right? You have, or a movie good, if you have people that actively care about the source material, where it came from, respecting it, honoring it, maybe a little tweaks or changes here and there, just to kind of, allow for a more fluid story maybe on television or in theaters. It just kind of helps because content's already there. You just have to visualize it, right? For everybody. Shows how memory is so subjective. Indeed it is. And it's amazing how our memory can, or our brains can convince us that something happened or something happened a certain way and it didn't. But we are so convinced it did. It's just kind of an odd part of life. The hippocampus, I believe it is. It's amazing how much we don't know about the brain, by the way. That's kind of an interesting little sidebar. It is like all of us. Like it is everything, right? Heart's certainly important. Everything else is certainly important. But the brain is what lets us communicate. It lets us think. It lets us, do all these things. And yet we don't know a heck of a lot about it. It's still very mysterious. It's very much like space in a way, where it just, well, unlike space, it's actually here on Earth and we can look at it, but it's still mysterious as heck. I guess the ocean might be a better analogy. It's here, but we've only explored 5% of it or something like that. Like, it's just unbelievable how we just don't understand how most of it works. Like Daniel calls it in the show, the Odyssey of Memory. Was it raining, Louis? The little details change so much. Yeah, that is a very interesting point. And as we know from cognitive diseases, it can fade real fast. So it is very fragile. Memory, all that good stuff. It is very or what is that called? The Mandela effect or something, where we think one thing is a certain way and then it's never been that way. It's like, what? Dang, what is going on in there? What is happening in my brain? It's so strange how we don't quite understand anything involving it. But we're trying, obviously. People are trying. Research is happening, but yeah, it is very odd. Very, very odd. Let's go ahead and move into the next video. This is a bit of a tone shift, I guess. Topic-wise, content-wise. Similar brutality, I guess you could say. I'm going to give a bit of a trigger warning on this, that it does involve, I think I can say on YouTube, bullying, victim blaming, ending yourself ideation. I don't know how to say this word. I obviously know how to say it, but I don't know how to say it so it's YouTube friendly. We'll say preying on younger folk in a way where you're pushing them for a certain thing. Inappropriate teacher. That's a great way to say it. That's a great way to say it. Inappropriate teacher. Think Pretty Little Liars. Think all those terrible news stories you see about teachers getting in trouble. That should give you an idea of what's going on here. But yeah, just wanted to let you know, it's kind of a tone shift. And if you don't want to see any of that or hear any of that, just skip forward, about 4 minutes from now. So let's go ahead and pull it up. And as soon as I start it, it's about 3 minutes and 50 seconds. So, I don't think there's any closed captioning on this. It is called No Time to Die. It is Dead Friend Forever. Handled correctly versus Pretty Little Liar. Good to know. And yeah, let's go ahead and jump into it. Oh, hold on. Let's adjust this so we can actually read closed captioning. That would help tremendously. That way I'm not blocking it. Here we go. There we go. All right. Okay, let's start it over a little bit. And go.
มันมีอะไรเยอะนะเว้ยที่มึงยังไม่เข้าใจทั้งเรื่องนนท์แล้วก็เรื่องแทนบ้านนนท์แม่งชิบหายแค่ไหนเพราะคิดว่านนท์หนีแบบครูเก่งมึงก็เห็นอยู่กับตานี่งั้นจินว่านี้ดีไหมทุกคนดูดีเลยหน้าไม่เหวอด้วยหรือว่าจินไม่ชอบจินฮะไอ้เหี้ยมึงทำเหี้ยอะไรเนี่ยถ้ากูรู้มากกว่านี้กูไม่มีทางวางยานนท์แล้วก็ส่งตัวไปหรอกทุยเสือกจะเล่นบทเป็นเหยื่อ
Okay. Anybody looks at you like that, run.
But I saw you there too much.
พี่อย่าเพิ่งไปพี่ต้องอดทนอยากให้กูให้อภัยนะมึงก็ไม่ตายไป
Drugged and had a yeah.
ก็แค่ครูกับนักเรียนธรรมดาไม่ได้คิดอะไรเกินเลยจริงๆนนแต่แบบนั้นมันไม่เรียกว่าธรรมดาแล้วนะก็ดูเสื้อนี้เนี่ยครูเห็นเธอเป็นเหมือนน้องชายคนหนึ่งนะยอมรับความช่วยเหลือครูเถอะ มึงว่ามึงทำแบบนี้ทำไมวะ
มึงสารภาพเรื่องที่มึงทำกับไอ้เฮี้ยนนท์ไว้เรื่องที่นนท์ไปหายตัวไปเป็นความผิดกูเองเฮ้ยเราดูจัดการเองเดี๋ยวบอกกูก่อนมึงจะพานนท์ไปไหนไปไหนมันไม่ตายหรอกแค่สลบไปเฉยมึงช่วยมันเคลียร์ปัญหานี้ด้วยซ้ำ
Oh, damn.
พี่ช่วยหยุดโมโหก่อนได้ไหมเรารักพี่นะนี่นอกใจน้องกูไปแล้วอ่ะสามพุ่งไปทั่วห้องท้ายที่สุดแล้วไม่มีใครสามารถมีชีวิตรอดออกไปตายแห่งนี้ได้ไม่แต่คนเดียวการแก้แค้นนี้สำเร็จทุกคนตายทรมานกูยังรักนนท์แล้วก็คิดถึงนนท์เหมือนเดิม
Oh my gosh. Link down below in the description for the original video. Go throw it some love. What? Yeah. Good grief. Let's go ahead and pull up some information. Oh, yeah, I'm sure it did. I'm sure it did. Holy crap. Dead Friend Forever is a Thai horror BL series about a group of friends and the scary events in a secluded cabin. Main character plans to move overseas. Former classmates arrange a farewell party, invite him for a vacation in the woods. Boy, that never ends well. Far from civilization, the protagonist feels awkward about reuniting with his high school crush due to their unresolved feelings. As ugly memories resurface, their time together turns deadly. It all starts with some bullies, escalates fast. Yeah, absolutely. I called it 8 Stupid Teens in a Cabin. Oh my gosh. A Cabin in the Woods is such a classic horror trope. It's fantastic. Like, it just lends well to it, you know? About 12 episodes. Dark and toxic BL drama. Well, that's what you want in a horror film. Dark and toxic. Then flashbacks goes mean gay so fast. Well, I guess you get to see all the bullying and whatnot. Jin is a photography student who will soon move overseas. He plans on settling permanently in the United States, won't return to Thailand after the relocation. For his departure, Jin's friends want to throw him a farewell party. Or the son of a wealthy politician. That is a hilarious name to have as a son of a wealthy politician. Just in the English version. Because poor, obviously meaning lacking funds. Kind of hilarious. Invites everyone on a 3-day vacation getaway. His family owns a secluded cabin in the woods, far from civilization. Well, yeah, that's what secluded means. The 8 of them can enjoy the privacy and freedom to do whatever they desire, like drugs. Happy, fun time, romping. Romping? Whatever words I can use that YouTube won't figure out. Or alcohol. Jin is nervous about reuniting. We never noticed that. I don't know why that immediately popped into my head, but it did. Jin is nervous about reuniting with Phi, his high school crush. They used to have a romantic fling during their senior year. Jin confessed his love and wanted to commit to a relationship, yet Fee rejected him after they became physically intimate. Well, boy, isn't that a story as old as time? Gosh, that is a tale as old as time. Since then, Jin has harbored a grudge, not surprisingly, and perfectly, makes perfect sense too. They haven't kept in contact until this trip. Well, that's healthy. He wants to chat and clear the air before his friend's permanent relocation. However, Jin avoids him and doesn't want to confront their unresolved feelings. Yeah, I obviously wouldn't want to talk to him at all. It's so much more complicated than that, but spoilers. 8 friends are attending this trip, besides Jin, Fee, Poor, and the other guests, including Top, Fluke, T, White, and Tan. Top is a group's comedian, always cracking jokes to lighten the atmosphere. That's to be expected, right? You got to have somebody be somewhat funny to kind of break the tension in a horror film. You can't have a horror film or series that's just always horror. You got to have some tension breaker. Even in, what was it called? Nightmare on Elm Street. Even on Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy Krueger had some like one-liners that were like, oh, that was kind of funny. And then he went back to terrorizing children. But he had some good one-liners in there. That kind of broke the tension. Biting scene was 10 out of 10. Oh. Okay. Context. See here. Luke is quiet and serious. Second-year medical student is studying to become a doctor. T and White are a couple. Their friends often tease the pair's lovey-doveyness. Tan is Fee's best friend. Jin also feels jealous of their closeness, although Fee insists his relationship with Tan is strictly platonic. 8 friends knew each other since high school. Obviously, some were more estranged than others. 3 new additions don't know the others as well. During the vacation, the group discovers video footage of a short film produced by Poor, who entered a filmmaking contest in grade 11. Fee, Tan, and White suggest recreating the movie for fun. Okay. He seems nervous and opposes the idea, but the others proceed anyway. As tempers erupt, the friends give up on shooting the film. Later, they divide into smaller groups and participate in different activities. T and White get cozy in a romantic evening. Jin and Fee have alone time as they discuss their relationship. Meanwhile, Top, Fluke, and Tan watch movies in the living room. Eventually, they realize Poor has gone missing from the premises. His absence alarms everyone, especially since the woods can be dangerous at night. They go outside to look for his whereabouts. To their horror, they found their friend's body in critical condition. Interesting. All right, so this gives it a B score, an 8.0. Gritty, gruesome, sinister edge. That's literally what you want. My pulse never stops racing. Less on logic, more on chaos. Well, that is, you do want a little bit of logic in there. You know, very often you get that scene in a horror film where somebody runs upstairs and it's just like, where are you going? You could have just run out the front door or the back door or something. You know, you just literally locked yourself into a second story, third story, whatever. So now you're going to have to jump out of the window to get by whoever's chasing you. Like, some of those little logical fallacies, I get it, because you want, you know, there to be some easy targets in there, but, oh gosh. It's such an overused trope, you know? I bet they did. I bet they did. And that pick is hilarious. Let me just scroll past that just in case, you know, YouTube has any issues. Romance appears at random points in the plot. After a long stretch of melodrama, the focus suddenly shifts to one of the couples. Each impactful scene ushers a tidal wave of seduction, sensuality, and turbulent emotions. Most of the time, Dead Friend Forever avoids lovey-doveyness. Sweet exchanges don't fit the vibe of this horror series right. Instead, the passion is mixed with angst and conflict. Makes sense. I wish the story paid more attention to developing the romances. Well, I mean, you don't want to go too far into that, because then you do lose some of that horror film. And that just becomes like a romantic horror film, which is, I don't know if those even exist. I guess maybe they do. Is Shaun of the Dead a romantic horror film? Like, there is like romance in it for Shaun, at least. Dead Friend Forever has a sad, twisted ending with grisly fates for everyone. I like how it doesn't shy away from a dark conclusion. I like that too. Especially horror films. It shouldn't have a Zom rom-com. It shouldn't have a happy ending, as far as I'm concerned. If it's a good horror film, I don't think it should have one. Kind of reminds me of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, or oh gosh, what is that movie called? Oh, darn it. It's like a classic. Oh no. It ends with the worst. Like, it is just everybody gets it. And you leave the movie going, wow, that had no uptick at all. Like, it is just pure downhill for the stars or anybody in it. Like, that was unbelievable. Oh gosh, now I'm trying to think of what it is. Let me see if I can come up with it. Let's see. I don't know if I'm going to be able to come up with the title. Halloween, I Know What You Did Last Summer, The Ring. None of those. Although I have seen all of those. The Ring really messed me up. Oh my gosh. That movie freaked me out. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, yes. Maybe that's the one I'm thinking of. No Sleep for Me. Yeah, exactly. I literally unplugged my television after I saw The Ring. That movie freaked me out the first time I saw it. But then I watched it like not very long ago, and I was like, oh man, why was I so afraid of this movie? House of a Thousand Corpses, maybe? It might be Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It was about a couple of friends went into this little town, and they visited a store, and the store, oh no, it was a Rob Zombie movie. They visited a store, and the store was full of these weirdos that like chop people up and stuff. Like, it was just brutal. Like, one of them looked like a clown or something. I can't remember what the heck that's called. I requested this as you asked about horror BLs. There might be more DFF coming out, but the horror BLs I figured I'd keep for Halloween. That's a smart decision. That actually is a great choice for keeping that for October. That should be awesome. All right. I slept in a room with 50-inch TV. Oh my God. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I had a tiny little like 13-inch television. It was just a tiny little thing. And I even unplugged that. I was like, nope. I'm not doing it. Not doing it. Wait, what? Goddess Bless You from Death is an October request. That is such an interesting title. That is a wonderfully interesting title. I am not having any. You know, let me look that up. I think I know who directed it. Oh, is that what it's called? Oh, The Devil's Rejects. I think that's what it is. Oh, no, it is House of a Thousand Corpses. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yep, that is a crazy movie. Boy, it got terrible reviews. It got terrible. Oh my gosh. 22% on Rotten Tomatoes. There's an abundance of gore in this derivative horror movie, but little sense or wit. Well, yeah. That's probably a good way to put it. It was brutal to watch, but yeah, it wasn't very good. I would not call it a good movie. Audience, though, 65%. It's kind of a cult hit, I would say. Wow. Oh my gosh. Whoa. Look at that despair. Actually, even more. Look at that. 0% for top critics. Oh my gosh. 21 critic reviews, 0%. Whoa. It's the Pit Babe boys. Oh my gosh. Sharp tone shift. Oh, Saw. I just saw Saw 10, I think it was. I saw that in theaters quite a while ago. I thought it was actually not bad. I was expecting it to be like, here we go. Here's another, Fast and Furious movie. But it was not bad. They actually did pretty well with it. So they're actually coming out with another Saw. I think it's Saw 11 this year. Or 2025, I think. Saw Sally see Sam on the seesaw. Oh my gosh. Yeah, when the evil wins, those are the crazy movies. Like, honestly, it feels, when I finished watching House of a Thousand Corpses, I was just like, I don't think I've felt like this before, where you actively see the evil side win and you're just left with nothing. You turn off the movie and you're like, oh, this is what defeat feels like in the cinema. Because it very rarely happens. So it's kind of cool to get that feeling of just no upside at all. I don't know. It's an odd feeling. Most movies leave you with hope or triumph. Yeah, exactly. So it makes it so much more impactful when a movie is just all downhill. Like, maybe throughout it gives you a little glimpse and then crushes you immediately. That movie does a great job of just little bit of hope lost, little bit of hope lost. And then it just ends on the worst sour note. Oh my gosh. I get why it didn't, perform well in the reviews, but I will say this. It nailed leaving the movie feeling like down. Like, it nailed that. All right, next on the list is one of your girls, Buck and Eddie from 911. Let's go ahead and jump in. Sometimes, if you know going in, doomed by the narrative is great. Indeed. Indeed. Although I do kind of like the aspect of not knowing, because you're looking for that situation, for the upswing, and maybe they give you a little bit of one, and then they crush you afterwards, and you're just like, oh, I thought it was going to be the upswing.
A few choice words can sometimes be the life raft that gets you home.
Hey,
Hey, Tommy.
Hey.
Can we talk? Good morning, bud. Yeah. Come on. Hey, bud.
It's so weird. It's like YouTube wants to play ads, but then it doesn't. So it just restarts it.
Running on the block to be around you. But baby, I'm first in place.
All right, this is not making Buck look the best.
Cash, no credit. Yes, God, don't speak, you said it. Look at you. Skip the application interview. Sweet like marabou. Look at you.
Honestly, Eddie,
What is this song?
Dad, look, this doesn't change a thing between us. Christopher would be taken care of. There's no way in this world I trusted my son more. Please don't ask me how I am.
Give me a call if you ever get desperate. Oh my god. This song is wild.
You shouldn't show that ways. But nobody wants you bad as I do. Baby, let me plead my case.
Oh, it's Troye Sivan.
Cash, no credit.
This song is still wild. Oh my gosh.
You said it. Look at you. Pop the culture iconography. Standing right in front of me. Look at you.
Ah.
What are you afraid of? I'm never gonna feel normal again.
Let's do this. Because Evan,
That was mine. Act like you're I misunderstood this, but you're wrong.
Give me a call if you ever get desperate. Oh my gosh. That line. It's just wild.
James, I'll take over!
I was literally just thinking this is like an F-boy summer anthem.
Hey, come here.
For God's sake, please call Eddie.
Call Tommy.
We're not giving up.
To be seen, to be found. Isn't that what we're all searching for?
I mean, that's a good point. That's a dang good point. That is, yeah. Well, we're all looking for a place, you know? We're all looking for a reason to be. That's why that, you know, question of what is the purpose of life is such a big question, right? I think as you get older, or at least I've noticed, you stop asking that question and you just start living. You know what I mean? Like you just continue to do what you do, you know, find out what you enjoy. And yeah, you stop thinking about the why. Maybe you start thinking about it again towards the end of your life, probably. You know, looking back. When you're doing more looking back than looking forward is probably when you start thinking about it more. But as of right now in my life, I am looking forward and just kind of living in the now, trying to figure out what to do. I don't know, just enjoying what I can enjoy. That is the meaning of life for me at this moment, is enjoying it. So, yeah, I think it's different for everybody, but being seen and being found is a very good one. Yeah, I don't know. Just kind of thinking about it. Being seen and being found. Well, we're all looking for love, whether it's romantic or platonic or parental. That kind of makes sense. Sometimes, you know, some of us are lucky enough to get it from our parents. some of us are lucky enough to find, a core friend group or something like that that kind of becomes your family or gives you the kind of support that you need to continue moving on. And some of us are lucky enough to find it in somebody else in a romantic setting. And then some don't want to find a romantic setting and they find it in their friends. That's totally acceptable and cool. But we all, I think, regardless of the situation, look for some sort of support group or love in some way. So that's a very poignant quote from Buck. And I think, yeah, it's accurate. Boy, that shows a lot of growth in Buck to be thinking like that, as opposed to that first part of that video was very all over the place, I guess you could say. Call me if you're desperate. One of the lyrics to the song very much seemed like he was desperate and just kind of finding himself in other people, if we if we dare. Yeah, it's not surprising that he was kind of portrayed as a womanizer, as he was clearly lost and just looking for any sort of support or love or someone to be proud of him. But it seems like, number one, the therapy worked. Number two, the 118 and the support around him was obviously good for him. And I think, honestly, going after the parents and like having that moment of confronting it, speaking your mind, getting it off your chest, I think that is extremely therapeutic. And that probably helped tremendously for Buck. So let's go ahead and bring up some more information. Sometimes I think about the Buck, Eddie, Chris situation too hard, and I actually start to lose it because, like, the show fully portrays Buck as a second parent to Chris. Yes, they do. He's not even in the fun uncle territory anymore. He straight up just acts like his dad. And even when it's a funny scene, it's still just there. Take the whole Chris going to camp discussion from 318 when Buck goes on a what if he gets homesick rant. No one in the scene laughs and says, relax, Buck, he's not your kid. Buck's reaction is funny, sure, but no one acts like it's out of place. Likewise, in the scene in 4-3, where Chris asks Buck if they can go to his house when Eddie turns off the TV. Again, it's a funny scene, but it's absolutely still played as Buck deferring to Eddie and siding with his quote-unquote partner over Chris. And even before all this, even before their friendship is in an arguably much deeper place, Eddie tells Buck in 3-3, I love him enough to never stop trying. I know you do too. That's not how your friend should feel about your kid. You should not believe that your friend loves your child in the same way to the same extent you do when you've only known each other a little over a year. And to be sure of that, he says it's unbelievable. I'm not going to lie. The amount of question marks is throwing me off. For some reason, it's making it hard to read. And I mean, literally everything about 414 just emphasizes all of this even more. From the fact that Buck takes on the responsibility of taking care of Chris without it being asked, to the fact that we discover Eddie's chosen him in that role anyway, then to have Buck and Chris's first interaction after this to be the hug in the firehouse in 5-2, where Buck greets Chris the same exact way Eddie does. Of all things the show has done, they have never once post season 2 presented Buck's role in Christopher's life as anything other than parental, and it's so effing wild because it's like, okay, Eddie is Christopher's dad, and you're saying Buck loves Chris like a son, and Eddie has chosen Buck to be Christopher's parent in the event that he's not around anymore, so what are Eddie and Buck to each other then? Best friends, obviously, work partners, sure, but what are they together in Christopher's life? That is a really good point, especially if they've only known each other a little over a year. But it kind of makes sense, honestly, that, well, I've said it before, and working in positions like this, you're trauma bonded to your teammates. So they might be literally the closest best of friends as, you know, fellow cops that go through something together or military members that go through something together. Like, you get bonded very quickly, and that can be extremely close. To the point where you go to each other's funerals, you go to each other's weddings, etc. You're like in their life for life. So yeah, it's work partners, but it's more. It's like brothers, if you will. Like, literally as close as you can get without being blood, basically. And Eddie doesn't trust most of his actual family with Chris without essays and lists of how to take care of Chris. Yeah, it's interesting. I think it's because Eddie sees Buck as someone who is just yearning for connection, that he feels like Buck would be a very good parent. You know what I mean? Like, he's yearning for it and, you know, just unbelievably driven towards finding a group, finding support, finding love, that he just assumes, or at least I assume that he assumes, that Buck would be an incredible father. Which, honestly, I would tend to agree, because he obviously has a lot of experience with bad parenting. So you would think that Buck would be just completely aware of what not to do and how to actually show support, show love, you know, show that you're proud of your child and whatnot. So it kind of makes sense, honestly. But yeah, it is, it's different. Needless to say, I've never had a coworker anything remotely close to that. But then again, I was never trauma bonded to anybody I've ever worked with. I'm very much in the category of, like, you know, okay, let's get in and get out. Get the paycheck, you know, do your work, and then go about your life. So, very different concept of workplace as far as I'm concerned. And Eddie doesn't yeah, exactly. I do like that quote, though. To be seen, to be found. Found is an interesting one. Found family is something I found on this stream. Like, I had no idea that was a thing. Well, I didn't know the wording of it. And I definitely think it applies to Buck, for sure. You know, clearly he did not have much to go on. Obviously, Maddie's still there, which is great. So he does have that. He at least has that connection. But yeah, the rest of it, he found it through the 118 and everybody else, which is very nice. And certainly in the more recent seasons, he's opening his life up and, you know, found Tommy and all that stuff. So he's obviously flourishing right now. he's let the past go a little bit, and he's out there. He's doing good things, you know. He was out there before, but he was out there for a different reason. It was basically just hiding in flings, if you will. Oh. I think that's supposed to be, hold on. Let me re-pull up the link. Up this. I pulled up the links on Friday, I think, after stream. So I think they got messed up a little bit. All right, here we go. Do this. Try to pull it up. All right.
We're very excited. Hello, guys. I just wanted to send you a quick message and say we are here. We are back in production.
Oh,
We're
this is
very
showing his
excited
accent.
to be
That's
making
right.
the show again, and we're very excited to get ready for September 26th. Tune in.
That's unbelievable.
Hello, guys. I just wanted to send you a quick message and say we are here. We are back in production. We're very
You would never know.
excited to be making the show
Jump scare.
again, and we're very excited to get ready for September 26th.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, you would never. I had no idea he had an accent. No clue at all, actually. That is fascinating. It's so weird to find that out, like, after you've watched something or, you know, consumed some sort of content. And some actors are so good in, you know, doing American accents that you don't even realize it after years. Like Christian Bale is certainly one of those where people find out about that later and they're like, wait, what? The bloopers hearing him go from one to the other is so funny. I bet it is. That's so funny. Oh my gosh. Yeah, Christian Bale's a good one for that. I think Russell Crowe, a lot of people didn't realize. For the longest time, people had no idea Mel Gibson had an accent. That was definitely one where I heard people go, whoa. It's so odd. You don't really think about it. But then, you know, you hear them in an interview or something like that, and you're like, wait, what? Oh, wow. That's a really good American accent they were pulling off. All right, let's go ahead and pull up the last video of the day. It is Sports Analogies, Ted Lasso Crack 2. So it's going to be very interesting. This is about 8 minutes and 50 seconds long. Let's go ahead and pull this up. There we are.
I guess you can take the boy out of journalism, but you can't take journalism out of the boy.
You fucking ruined it.
Have you ever had a dream that you want him to do you so much you could do anything?
What the fuck are Denver Broncos?
Well, no, that's a very good question, too. Yeah, it's an American football reference, an absolute fumble in this situation.
I can see the things you're doing, and you think that I'm naive. But when I get the goods on you, she'll finally believe.
Well, she says it's all just drama, but every bubble's got to pop. She's gonna see just what you're doing,
And then you're finally gonna have to stop. Don't think you're gonna win this time, 'cause you better believe I'm gonna drop a dime on you. I'll get ya, I'll get ya. And when I do, you're gonna be busted. I don't wanna put the hurt on you, but you better believe me when I tell you that I finally got the dirt on you. You're busted. Yeah, she's finally gonna see the light. This is how it's gonna be when she finds out that I was always right. You're busted.
Would I rather be feared or loved?
Michael Scott.
Easy, both. I want people to be afraid of how much they
love me.
Why you so obsessed with me?
Don't be suspicious. No. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious.
Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious.
You assuming I'm a human. What I gotta do to get it through to you? I'm superhuman, innovative, and I made a rubber so that anything you say is stick a
Stop messing with Nate. Mark me down as scared and horny.
As you had a bad day, you take it one down. You sing a sad song just to turn it around. You say you don't know, you tell me don't lie. You work on a smile and you go for a ride. You have a bad day, the camera don't lie. You're coming back down and you really don't mind.
I think we all relate to that.
doing? Well, I'm doing just fine. I lied, I'm dying inside.
Wearing 24, the note to his Richmond teammate, the spectacular Samuel Bisania.
That's love, bitch.
Well, maybe, I don't know. Maybe you shouldn't have.
That's such a good moment. Now I Met Your Mother.
Hit the road, Jack. Don't you come back no more, no more, no more, no more. Hit the road, Jack. And don't you come back no more.
Hey, Jamie, good luck.
Playing games with my head.
Do you know how much you annoy me? The answer is a lot. Should I list the reasons why? Well, I don't see why not. It's your hair, your nose, your chinless face. You always need a hug, not to mention all the manly apple teenies that you chug, that you think I am your mentor. Just continues to
Dr.
perplex.
Cox.
And oh my God, stop telling me when you have nerdy sex.
Oh, by the way, last time Kim was in town, we got some apple teenies and poured them on our good parts.
Oh my gosh, I love Scrubs.
Yeah, you know me. And if you ever need a wingman, I'd let any girl blow me off. Cause you're more important than the rest. I confess, I'm a mess if I'm not hanging with my BFF. You know it's true, you my male boo. Now sing the chorus with me if you're feeling the same way too.
There's one thing I'll say about this is that the coloring, the edits, the quality of this show is just, it's not surprising it's this good. Apple is just known, like their marketing is A1. It always looks so good.
Hey, but that's Nate the Great for you. They're real lucky to have him over there at West Ham. I wish him the best of luck.
Playing games with my head.
If you don't like me, even though I put myself out there, then I'm done. And by that, I mean I'm not going to conversate with you. I'm not going to invest time.
I think it's
in you.
converse.
Huh?
Just say talk.
Conversate. I'm not going to conversate with you.
There are times you drive me, shall we say, bananas. And your mind is missing, no offense, a screw.
None taken.
Still, whatever mess I land in, who is always understanding, nobody else but you.
Oh, your moodiness is
Drag Race
bound to be
Tatiana.
bewildering. And your values may be, so to speak, askew.
Gesundheit.
Thanks. Who deserves a hero's trophy as we face each catastrophe?
It kind of reminded me of the Blood Orange thing. Blood Orange. It's orange. From, oh gosh, what is that show called? Something about dress, making a dress.
Together, nobody else but you. It's crazy enough.
Project Runway. That's it. Project Runway.
Andy, are you okay?
Oh, I'm fine. It's just that life is pointless and nothing matters, and I'm always tired. Also, I can't sleep. I'm overeating. None of my old hobbies interest me.
Jamie, look at me. You've got a lot
Same
going on
energy.
right now.
There's a lot going on, yeah.
This is the first time you've played back home since you left. The crowd's gonna hate you. And the person who's gonna be booing the loudest in the crowd is your dad. Look, think about it. If you guys win tomorrow, then you will be on the precipice of achieving everything that you've
Oh my God.
Oh shit, sorry, Jamie.
I don't need friends. They disappoint me.
A few moments later.
Here we go again, together best of friends. Cause I got your back, and I know that you got mine. Together we're so strong, we're right where we belong. It's so good to know that you're here by my side. Oh, friends are everything, friends are what we need. All together again. Oh, friends are everything, just like you and me. With each other, we'll win. 'Cause we're
Oh my gosh. Link down below in the YouTube description for the original edit. Go throw it some much deserved love. Also, check out the other channels from today. You never know when they're going to have something, interesting. Maybe you want to request it yourself. So go ahead and check out those channels. Links down below in the description. Very fascinating. Those crack videos. I agree with you, Jace. It's very hit or miss. Depends on if you actually know what the heck they're talking about or what references they use or whatever. But yeah, I agree. It's very hit or miss. That one had a lot that I actually did know, so that helped tremendously. And that's what you hope for. Ted Lasso renewed for a 4th season. Reports hint at a potential new season with 3 main cast members returning. Actually, brought up the reader version of this because there's a ton. Not surprising. It's a journalism website, but there is a ton of videos of totally unrelated stuff. Ted Lasso looks to receive a green light for its 4th season, according to reports. Discussions surrounding a revival of the sports comedy drama series have been ongoing since the conclusion of season 3 last year, with fans clamoring for confirmation. U.S. media reports that Warner Brothers Television has picked up the options for the 3 original cast members, Jeremy Swift, Brett Goldstein, and Hannah Waddingham. Waddingham stars in the show as AFC Richmond owner Rebecca Walton, while Goldstein plays hot-headed assistant coach Roy Kent. That's good. They got Roy. Swift is a meek director of football operations and father of 5, Leslie Higgins. First series won instant praise from fans thanks to its uplifting tone, which provided comfort viewing to millions of viewers at the height of the pandemic in August 2020. Variety reports that it's believed the show's co-developer and star Jason Sudeikis is involved in some capacity as an executive producer. Publication also states that Waddingham, Goldstein, and Swift's options became known first because they are UK equity members and have different deals to the US SAG-AFTRA cast, who will engage in negotiations next. Received critical praise, number of awards, including a clutch of Emmys and 2 consecutive Golden Globes for Best Actor in a Television Series, Musical Comedy for Sudeikis. Also nominated for his performance in the 3rd season. Given the series structure, 1 season of football per season of television, there are limits to how much Ted Lasso can progress from year to year, even as Ted himself becomes more of a tragic figure than a comic one. Yeah, that's going to be interesting to not have Ted actually in Ted Lasso. What do you call it at that point? If Jason Sudeikis is just an executive producer, what the heck are you going to call it? Last week we were talking about how 3 was the end, so it seemed right to mention this. Yeah, I mean, clearly they want it. I guess it just depends if Apple thinks it's worth it. I don't know. It doesn't seem like it'd be a huge budget show, frankly. And that's not a slight on it. It just seems like it wouldn't be, which is a good thing. Characters are also changed by Ted. It kind of feels like they could use the name still. Yeah, probably. I don't know how they would get around that. I guess the show would just shift focus to another character, maybe Roy's end of his career, basically, and shifting into maybe being a coach or something. That could be a potential storyline. Or not a coach, a manager, excuse me. Let's get the terms correct. Obviously, I do not watch football. Watch American football. Yeah, I don't know. Just depends on if Apple's willing to pay for it, basically. Looks like Jason Sudeikis is willing to throw some money down. I guess that's what executive producers do. Ted Lasso, co-creator, originally shot down the dream sequence fan theory, but is it worth revisiting to set up season 4? When Ted Lasso once seemed over and done with, fans evidently, just needed to channel their inner Ted and believe that there still could be a future. Yes, the season 4 of Apple TV's Apple TV Pluses. I mean, come on now. Can we change the name to just Apple TV? I know the set-top box is known as Apple TV, and I guess this is the Plus. Hey, it's just a terrible name. Is reportedly in the works with actors. We just went over that. Doesn't seem to be a sure thing. The very idea of a fourth season raises big questions about how the story could actually continue following the third season finale. Could the fan theory that the original end was actually a dream sequence be worth revisiting, despite being previously debunked by EP Brendan Hunt? Season 3 finale was presumed to be the series finale. It was hard to believe otherwise after what seemed like some pretty definitive endings. Of the main players, Ted returned to Kansas to be with Henry. Beard married Jane. Rebekah seems set on a happily ever after with her Dutchman. Keely decided to focus on a women's football team instead of restarting a relationship with Roy or Jamie. Roy became the new head coach at AFC Richmond. Oh, there you go. I kind of called it. There you go. That could be the POV. Or it could be following Keely. One of those two, I assume. And Jamie reconciled with his dad, or following Jamie's career. Who knows? As a latecomer to Ted Lasso, it wasn't until getting context for the finale spoilers I'd seen that I fully understood why fans had so many issues with the ending. And I learned of the theory that the whole epilogue was actually a dream sequence. Personally, I don't have a problem with Ted leaving Richmond despite Rebekah asking him to stay, just because it had been so heavily foreshadowed that he'd go back for Henry's sake. And it wasn't a surprise. I also thought that Roy had just about the perfect end to his journey of the first 3 seasons by becoming head coach. Yeah, that kind of seems like it was fit. Of the edits I've seen of Roy Kent, it definitely seemed like an arc of redemption, like calming down, accepting the fate of retirement, and, you know, basically moving on. You know, it's been very clear in a lot of, you know, world-class athletes that they have trouble moving on just because they put everything into it, right? All their blood, sweat, and tears, years, we're talking decades, focused on one thing, being the best. And then you just don't want to do it anymore. So it's unbelievable, that mind process of figuring out, okay, I'm no longer as good as I once was. How do I feel about this? What's the next stage in life look like? Like that transition from star to retired is gotta be just brutal. Brutal. As we saw with like Michael Jordan, you know, going over to the Washington Wizards, kind of playing some odd years out there, 40-something years old, still playing or shooting well, but just not playing to the level that we had known. Brett Favre famously retired, unretired, retired, or like flirted with it for seasons. Like we're talking many seasons, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Like it was just brutal to watch these off seasons of the Green Bay Packers going, we have no idea if he's going to come back. And they had to draft. So they're like, do we draft a quarterback? Is he retiring? Is he not retiring? And they had to do that for years. And then he did retire, and then he unretired and went to a different team. And then he retired, and then he unretired and went to a different team. It's just unbelievable. Like getting a documentary of that process of figuring out for like a top athlete would just be interesting. It would be very interesting. That sounds like Roy in season 1. Richmond was his fading glory place. Yeah. Ooh. That has got to be brutal to go through. So to see him become head coach, that's actually really interesting. It's like a nice, soft transition into it. Wasn't quite so sold on Rebekah and the Dutchman or the Beard-Jane union, but I was fine with Ted and Roy's endings insofar as those twists had been foreshadowed. Unfortunately, Ted and Roy's endings are the hardest ones to reconcile with the season 4 that would ideally bring back the majority of the original cast, including Jason Sudeikis. The finale of season 3 establishes that Ted is back in the U.S. and Roy is settling into the top job at AFC Richmond. And there's really no resetting the status quo to bring Ted back into what is now Roy's role, unless the epilogue is revealed to be a dream sequence, right? Well, I don't think you have to bring Ted back into the head coaching job. Maybe he just keeps up with the team and checks in on Roy every once in a while, you know? Or is like a distant father figure to Roy or something, like a mentor. You know, like that could work. More or less erasing the events of the epilogue to start season 4 would be a quick and easy way to restore status quo of Ted as coach at Richmond and Roy still learning to grow as an assistant coach. I don't think you need to do that. To be clear, I don't want to see Ted Lasso retcon its own ending just for an easy out, particularly when I thought the show stuck the landing with Roy. I also don't particularly think that the Ted Lasso writers would go this route, but a blank slate without the epilogue could certainly simplify setting up season 4. Because there's still a very sticky situation of how Ted Lasso is actually going to incorporate Ted Lasso himself into season 4. Happens with Jason Sudeikis reprising his beloved role. There are really far more questions than answers about the future of the show at this point, not least whether reports that Phil Dunster won't be able to return as Jamie are accurate. Pretty safe bet that most of Ted Lasso any of us will get before the end of 2024 TV schedule is by rewatching the earlier episode. Yeah. Gosh. I don't see it as a good thing to try to wipe the slate clean. You should be able to just kind of move along. I'm assuming Jason Sudeikis has more offers coming in for movies and stuff like that just because of the success of Ted Lasso. But if he doesn't, maybe we can see him, coming back and reprising that role and do a more substantial part of it. But I don't think it would be too bad to have just kind of a guest mentor to Roy, or maybe he flies in for an episode just to watch a game or something, or a match, excuse me. That might be interesting. Just do little spot cameos or something. Just to kind of, it's like fan service, but it also gives, a little more stature to the show. Because you got the main named lead coming back onto it every once in a while. Best friendships of Ted Lasso ranked. Rebekah and Leslie. She also seemed to change her tone about Leslie, which led to changes within the team's dynamic itself. She was kinder to him, treating him more like an equal than an underling. Meanwhile, the closer he felt to Rebekah, the more confident he became in speaking up about his opinions and taking charge when needed. Boy, that's tough to do in the workplace, but eventually you kind of find your footing, right? Employer-employee relationship has grown into a personal friendship. Leslie is Higgins, who is one of the 3 returning. Oh, okay. Ted and Jamie. Honestly, this one seems pretty good. Ted and Jamie developed a father-son-like bond over time, which appeared to benefit both equally. Jamie's verbally abusive father never supported or praised him for his achievements. Ted was happy to take on this role, doing little things to let Jamie know he was appreciated. One of the most touching was when Ted sent a congratulatory note and a symbolic toy soldier to Jamie, even when he was playing for a rival team. That's pretty awesome. You know someone's a good leader when they actively reach out to you when you're playing for a different team. That's pretty amazing. Baz, Jeremy, and Paul aren't main characters, but they appear in many episodes through every season. There are diehard fans who get together for every game to watch on TV at a local bar or pub. Throwing back beers and fraternizing with the owner, they are loud, animated, and passionate. I mean, that is literally representation of the hooligans. That is, what more do you want? That should be represented, right? Ted and Trent have a budding friendship rooted in mutual respect and trust. Even though Trent initially went into his first meeting with Ted expecting to write a scathing article about the goofy American coming to coach a British football team, he instantly took to liking him. Ted did not have any reservations about him, feeling instantly at ease. When Trent revealed his anonymous source to Ted and lost his job because of it, it proved that there's potential for a deeper friendship between the two. That's pretty awesome. Dr. Sharon and Ted. I'm noticing a pattern here. Technically, Dr. Sharon and Ted aren't quote-unquote friends, since they must maintain a strictly doctor-patient relationship. But even if Dr. Sharon might not want to accept it, she's also leaned on Ted as a friend, and he definitely views her as more than a doctor. For example, he was there to help her when she had an accident on her bike and tries his best to insert himself into her life and become friends. Ted and Rebecca. Yeah, I definitely see the pattern here. Ted and Rebecca. A relationship that involves one person secretly baking delicious biscuits every morning to present one gift wrapped in an adorable little box to the other is an amazing friendship. What makes it sweeter is that Ted refuses to tell Rebecca what bakery he gets them from, declining the attention for baking them himself. That's amazing. While Rebecca was initially using Ted, she is yet another person who fell under his charming spell. Their night out at Christmas, handing out gifts to the less fortunate. Their day at the pub when Ted hustled Rupert at darts to help defend Rebecca. They might not think of each other as a close friend, but they rely on one another for everything you would for a best friend, including advice, clarity, and venting. The Diamond Dogs. Initially included Nate before he shockingly defected for AFC Richmond. Also sometimes includes Roy when he's in the mood to participate or finds himself in a romantic jam with no choice. Developed by chance during a casual conversation. Diamond Dogs form whenever there's a compelling reason. They got together, for example, to discuss an intervention with Coach Beard when they believed he was in a toxic relationship. They also helped convince Roy to have coffee with Keeley and see her interest in him in a different light. Like I said, Ted changed every character in the show. Yeah, obviously. That's going to be hard to replace. So hopefully they do a season 4. They're able to get Ted in at least a couple scenes. Just as, little cameos to kind of bolster it. Roy and Jamie. I mean, yeah. What needs to be said about that? That was I think I watched a couple of edits involving these two, and it was beautiful every single time. Roy and Jamie started out as mortal enemies. Roy was the veteran player, losing his touch and aging out of the game. Jamie was the young, arrogant star. Things got worse after Jamie and Keeley broke up, and Keeley started dating Roy. Oh, God. Oy. The scene when Roy pulls Jamie in for an embrace after witnessing his father berate the latter after a game is one of the most emotional and touching ones of the show. One of the series' best episodes, precisely because of this sweet moment. Yeah, that was huge. That's been in pretty much every edit I think I've seen of Ted Lasso. Ted and Coach Beard, number 2, are the kind of longtime friends who finish one another's sentences. They have a history of friendship behind them that has never shown any cracks or signs of trouble. They talk about silly things, important things, and everything in between. The pair is rock solid. Number 1, Rebecca and Keeley. 2 of the most wholesome characters on the show are friendship goals for any pair of women. Initially believed to be the perfect rivals, the characters challenged stereotypes and actually became fast friends. Supported one another, called another out. At the flick of a switch, it was like they had been friends for decades. They encouraged one another to do better, take chances. No stereotypical cattiness, competition, or jealousy. Strong, powerful, independent, beautiful women who love one another and lift one another up. Not bad. Not bad at all. Well, that's that writer's opinion of the friendships ranked. You know, this is one of those shows where sports is obviously a main part of it, football specifically. But obviously, what's going to keep it going and keep people interested and, you know, actually trying to actively get invested is the relationships, is the dialogue, whether there's conflict, how it's resolved, all that good stuff. And clearly, the writing on the show was good enough for tons of awards and renewed seasons. The fact that it's only got 3 seasons and they're just considering a 4th is pretty surprising. But then again, shows are so quickly canceled or moved on from. It's kind of weird. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe Jason Sudeikis just had an idea of doing a couple quick seasons here, cranking out an amazing show, and then just leaving for other stuff. I'm assuming that's the case because Jason has been in movies and all that stuff. So I'm assuming he just thought, well, we'll do a couple great seasons and then I'll move on to something else. I'm assuming that's what he was thinking. But it's just kind of odd. You have this show that's winning awards. It's successful. People are watching it. I've literally never heard anything bad about this show. Everybody who's ever watched it has said it was amazing. So not exactly sure, you know, where the fall off happens. Characters were meant to not be friends for a time. The actresses loved one another. And it changed the writer's plans. Interesting. Rebekah and Keeley, it gets cited as something to show daughters for them to see. Oh, non-toxic, uplifting friendship. Well, that is important to have. It is kind of weird that that's a trope. I get it, but it is very odd. There should be more of this. This is what like normal looks like. So that's kind of a weird circumstance, but yeah. That's kind of cool how they had both Ted and Coach Beard and obviously Keeley. What was their name here? Keeley and Rebekah? Yeah, Rebekah and Keeley. So they had kind of both sides of that, which is kind of cool. But yeah, it's kind of odd that this show only had 3 seasons. Very strange. TV women must be rivals. Yeah, kind of a standard trope. I don't know why that's immediately gone for, but it's nice to see it not represented on the show, which is cool. And it seems like Ted Lasso had a bunch of variety to it, which is nice. New Discord member, well, welcome in. Welcome in. Thanks for joining. The Discord is a happening place. Brill Barrel, I think is how you say that. Welcome into the Discord. So yeah, those were 5 excellent videos. I hope you enjoyed them. We will be back on Friday for another live stream that will be uploaded to YouTube as always. I hope everyone's, enjoyed their weekend and they're ready for another week of interestingness in this game of life that we're in. Boy, it is lots of interesting topics today, but I kind of liked the Buck one where it was talking about, to be seen, to be found, it's just kind of something to think about, something to take away and look for it. If you haven't found it, you will find it. It happens eventually. The roller coaster continues indeed. Yes, that is definitely kind of a joke with these streams, an inside joke, how the tone is just, woo, it'll take you on a ride. And I hope you enjoy these, and I hope you enjoy them going forward. If you haven't subscribed on YouTube, go ahead and do so. We are slowly marching towards 20,000 subscribers. If more people did it, we would probably hit it very quickly. I believe it was 88% in July were not subscribed that were watching. So that is a ton of people. So if you're watching on a TV or anything, if you're watching on a mobile device, you have no excuse. Join YouTube. It's free. It's easy. And it doesn't really do anything monetarily, but it is nice, obviously, as a creator to see that number kind of go up. And it's nice for you as well. You get to keep track of people you enjoy. Obviously, other channels, not just this one. So it does make it easier. Certainly using the home screen, it'll actively recommend videos from people you're subscribed to a little more often, as well as you get a little subscription tab in the app, which will tell you exactly what videos you've missed by subscribers or subscriptions that you have, which is super nice. So subscribe today. If you're watching on Twitch, go ahead and hit that follow button. We are over 100 followers on Twitch at this point, which is super cool. Thanks for being part of the live crew. And then I guess we have the VOD crew on YouTube. You know, the mainstays. They've been there since the start. And obviously, YouTube is still the main home of Todd Reacts. I just do this on Twitch because I know Twitch won't take me down as I'm streaming, which is not great. YouTube, looking at you. But yes, go ahead and check out the merch. It's available on the website. Members of the website save 15% on every order. It's automatically deducted. You don't have to do any sort of like promo code or anything like that. Just throw items into your cart and it will take off 15% automatically. And it ships worldwide. There's manufacturing outlets literally all over the world. So it makes the shipping a little faster, which is good. Nothing's worse than ordering something and it's like, yeah, it'll get to you eventually. And you're just like, wait, what? 30 days? I've had a couple of those where I'm like, what is that? I don't think so. I'll find something else. Anyway, if you'd like to request your own videos and you find something or you have something in mind, go head over to toddreacts.com, join up for the season or series tiers, and you can do so today. It is available 24/7. That is the beauty of it. Yeah. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. Shout out to Jace for helping with the links today. Shout out to Luke, as always, for being a great mod and helping when he can. I appreciate it. And yeah, shout out to the members of the Discord. I appreciate you. And everybody who subscribes, thank you so much. I appreciate it greatly. Probably don't say it enough, so I will make a point to say it more often. This is crazy. I'm happy you're here, and I look forward to more of these adventures in the future. So subscribe today and join the adventure. See you on Friday. Have a great rest of your week.